An incubus torments me, based on an experience by Eduardo Lignon. There was a time when what I am about to recount would never have happened to me. My life used to follow a routine from Monday to Friday, dedicating my body and soul to my work at a commercial bank. The hours flew by with numbers, balances, and clients, leaving little room for personal or social life. Weekends were my only escape from that suffocating routine. During those days, I became a hunter of fleeting adventures, seeking casual encounters with young men who injected a bit of excitement into my solitary life. I am not a woman who seeks eternal love or commitments. I enjoy the freedom that living alone without familial ties or responsibilities gives me. My only faithful companion is Toby, a small dog who fills my home with joy. However, I recognize that loneliness sometimes weighs heavily on me. I long for a bit of physical companionship, skin to skin, kisses, caresses, things that make me feel alive. That's why I go out looking for those furtive encounters, that easy passion in the middle of an emotional desert. I'm not always successful. Sometimes rejection hits me hard, wounding my self-esteem and making me feel even more alone. But I am a strong woman, and those setbacks do not discourage me. I know that at some point, there will be a man who desires me and is willing to share a night of pleasure without commitments. And when I find him, magic happens. I forget the routine, the loneliness, the sorrows, and I give myself to the passion of the moment, enjoying every caress, every kiss. I become another woman, a woman who desires and is desired. When morning comes, my companion bids farewell and returns to his life, while I return to my monotony with the satisfaction of having lived an intense night, a night that reminds me that I am not alone, that there is still desire and passion in this world. I know my life is not perfect. Loneliness often accompanies me, and the constant search for fleeting encounters can be exhausting, but I wouldn't change it for anything. I've chosen this path, and I walk it with my head held high and my heart open to possibilities. But it happened during one of those weekends that my life's routine was interrupted by a supernatural event that I will never forget. I went to a new bar that had opened in the city, seeking an escape. I hoped for a casual encounter with some handsome young man. Amid the music and bustle, my gaze crossed with that of an enigmatic man. He was young, well-dressed, and exuded a strange energy that made him irresistibly attractive to me. I approached him without a second thought, and we began a trivial conversation full of flirtation and laughter. I did not miss an opportunity to suggest an intimate encounter, but he, with a gallant yet firm smile, rejected my advances, only fueling my desire and obsession. Tired of pleading, I bid him farewell with a mix of frustration and fascination. His parting words, spoken in a haunting tone, unsettled my mind. "I'll be waiting for you next week." I left the bar with my heart racing and my mind filled with obsessive thoughts, all of them centered on that mysterious man. It wasn't just desire I felt. There was something else, something strange that both attracted and terrified me. I know this may sound absurd, but this man provoked many emotions in me, and fear was one of them. The following days turned into torture. I couldn't stop thinking about him, his penetrating gaze, his enigmatic smile, and the inexplicable energy surrounding him. I longed to see him again, despite the fear he had stirred in me. My obsession with the mysterious man took over my mind like a creeping vine of fear. My thoughts were constantly invaded by his image, his enigmatic smile, and the strange energy that surrounded him. The nights became tormenting. Instead of finding rest, I was plunged into horrible nightmares that left me breathless upon waking. In these dreams, I saw myself transformed into something that surprised and terrified me. My body had turned into something grotesque, covered in grayish, rough skin. I was lifeless, a corpse, while before me stood dark beings with black, twisted horns sprouting from their heads like the dry branches of a dead tree. I found myself in a dark and dreadful place, surrounded by shadows and the screams of agony from people tormented by these beings. I realized that they were souls in torment, writhing in pain, imploring for mercy. I wanted to wake up, but I couldn't. Amidst this horror, the mysterious man was there, in the midst of the storm of torments. He had become a demonic figure, with eyes that glowed with a malevolent light and a cruel smile that chilled my blood. But, I must admit with shame and caution, he also gave me pleasure. Somehow I liked that man despite his demonic nature. He fed off my unhealthy desires and my desperate pleas to escape that torment. I could hear his voice in my mind like an infernal echo, filling me with terror and despair. In a climactic moment of the nightmare, he plunged his hand into my stomach, piercing my skin with his sharp claws. The pain was indescribable as he tore out my guts, and that agony jolted me awake. I woke up drenched in sweat, my heart pounding 1,000 beats per minute. I didn't understand why I was having these nightmares, why the mysterious man tormented me even in my dreams. But one thing was certain. Fear was ruling my daily life, and I couldn't help but feel a strange fascination for that demonic figure. I wanted him despite everything. I desired him so much, regardless of those dreams. I thought they were products of my frustrations for not having him, for he had become an obsession, so to speak. The nightmares repeated night after night, intensifying my obsession and my terror. However, despite the fear, I felt an irresistible attraction to the mysterious man, a force that drove me to see him again, to look for him in that bar where I had first met him. I knew it was madness, that I was playing with fire, but I couldn't resist. The need to see him was stronger than fear, stronger than reason, stronger than survival itself. And so, with my heart clenched with terror and excitement, I headed to the bar once more as the weekend arrived. I was willing to face whatever destiny had in store for me, but that man had to be mine. I had no idea what awaited me. Something inside me told me that this night would be different, that something terrible was about to happen. Finally, the day of our reunion arrived. I returned to the bar with my heart pounding with excitement and nervousness. There he was, sitting in the same spot as if he had been waiting for me. I approached him, feeling a mix of attraction and fear. The night passed with intense conversations and knowing glances. His presence enveloped me in an electrifying atmosphere, as if I were under a spell. However, when I tried to get intimate with him again, he rejected me once more, this time with a cold and distant look. Disconcerted and hurt, I left the bar with my soul in pieces. The obsession I felt for the mysterious man had become a nightmare, a force consuming me and pulling me away from reality. That night, as I tried to sleep, the images of the man and the sensations he provoked tormented me. Suddenly, a chill ran down my body, and a hoarse voice whispered in my ear, "You are mine forever." I woke up drenched in sweat, my heart pounding. I knew something had changed. The mysterious man was no longer just an obsession. He was a supernatural presence that was haunting and controlling me. The following weekends became an agony. I returned to the bar, hoping to see the mysterious man again, but I only found it empty. The waiters and people I asked about him looked at me strangely, as if they didn't know who I was talking about. Some even said they had never seen him. Desperation overwhelmed me, and I couldn't believe that the man who obsessed me so much had disappeared. I felt as if a part of me had been taken away, as if my life had lost all meaning. One night, in the midst of my anguish, I cried out in desperation, invoking saints, devils, and death itself, begging to see this mysterious man again. It didn't take long for me to get a response. I was walking through the park, lost in my thoughts, when I saw him. He was sitting on a bench, as always, impeccably dressed, with his penetrating gaze. His presence filled me with a mix of terror and fascination. I approached him with my heart pounding in my chest. This time, I was determined to make him mine, no matter what I had to do. I started talking to him, trying to initiate a casual conversation. Between kisses and caresses, I seized the opportunity to ask him why he didn't want to be with me. His answer left me frozen. He said that if I wanted him so badly, I had to give him something more than my body, something spiritual like my soul. I looked at him incredulously, not understanding his words. Then I remembered the nightmares I had and that demonic figure with his face that tormented my dreams. Faced with his demands, I asked who he really was and why he wanted me, why he was asking me for such things. With a cold and distant voice, he said I already knew who he was, and that if I was willing to give him what he asked for, I would experience pleasures like never before. At that moment, a wave of terror ran through my body. I knew I was playing with fire and was about to make a grave mistake. But the obsession was stronger than reason, stronger than fear, stronger than survival itself. I told him yes, that I was willing to give him my soul, but I wanted to experience those pleasures he promised. Strangely, he took me to a secluded place in an abandoned building. I didn't understand why he took me there. We could have gone to my place or a nearby hotel, but he said those places set the tone for what he would do to me. We entered a closed, dirty room where there were lit candles and a dirty old mattress. I couldn't imagine my encounter with this stranger would be this way, but before I could react, he took me by force. I closed my eyes and surrendered to him, regardless of the consequences. What happened next is something I can't comprehend. I felt a strange energy coursing through my body, a sensation of pleasure and pain at the same time. The world around me faded away, and only he and I remained, united in a macabre dance. When I opened my eyes, his shadow projected on the wall was not that of a man. It was something horrendous with horns on its head, just as I had seen in my dreams. I realized I was in a dark, gloomy place, surrounded by shadows and screams of agony. The mysterious man had transformed into the demonic figure from my nightmares, with a cruel smile and eyes glowing with a malevolent light. In that moment, I understood my mistake. I had given my soul to an evil being and was now condemned to suffer an eternity of torment. I cried and begged for mercy, but my pleas fell on deaf ears. The demonic figure laughed at me, telling me it was too late, that I had sealed my fate with my own blood. Goat-like legs emerged from beneath his waist, and I screamed in horror as I tried to escape the torment. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would burst as I tried to flee. The man I had been following wasn't a mere stalker. His nature was much more sinister, darker than I could have imagined. He was the devil himself. I had seen his transformation as he made me his own. Trapped in that abandoned building, a labyrinth of desolation, the walls seemed to close in on me as I tried to find a way out. The laughter of that cursed being echoed everywhere, mocking my reality. I ran desperately, tripping over debris and shadows until I finally found a door and stumbled out. The hell claimed me, and I dreamed of him, that demonic being tormenting me with his laughter and perverse caresses. Each night, I found myself in his claws. Though my dreams were filled with forbidden pleasures, I woke up exhausted, empty, and hopeless. Every day, I withered more, my body losing vitality, my spirit fading away. I knew he was with me, even when I was awake. His presence was a constant shadow, his whispers in my mind reminding me of my impotence. He mocked my struggles, assuring me he would never leave, that he would consume me until my last breath, because I had given him my soul in a carnal act. Now, bound to him in body and soul, I cannot find a way out of this torment. Desperation has become my constant companion as I wither away, trapped in this endless hell, not knowing when it will truly end.